Hi friends, welcome to Diagnomes. If you remember, last few videos of our YouTube channel were related to salivary gland disorders. Today, I am again going to discuss a case of silolith which is present in the right Wharton's duct, its diagnosis and management. We have already discussed a case of radiolucent silolith which was diagnosed using silography, and if you have missed out on that video, you can watch it in our YouTube channel Diagnomes. Siloliths are typically calcified organic masses that form within the secretory system of major salivary glands. The true prevalence of siloliths is difficult to determine since many cases are asymptomatic and they may be determined during routine radiographic evaluation. Clinical and experimental research has shown that siloliths form secondarily to chronic obstructive silodenitis. Today, I am going to discuss an unusual case or unusual presentation of right submandibular ductal silolith which has pierced into the oral cavity through mucosa. Salivary stones occurs more commonly in submandibular glands, which forms around 80 to 90%, whereas parotid gland contributes only 5 to 15% of the total siloliths. The higher rate of silolith formation in the submandibular gland is due to the tortuous course of Wharton's duct, the higher calcium and phosphate levels within the gland, the dependent position of submandibular glands that leaves them more prone to stasis, and the increased mucoid nature of the secretions. A 40-year-old female patient visited us with a complaint of a calcified mass in the floor of the mouth, which she noticed since 1 week. She gives a history of pain and intermittent swelling on the right side submandibular gland region. A typical salivary gland swelling will be evident upon eating since the stone completely or partially blocks the flow of saliva, resulting in salivary pooling within the gland ductal system. Since the glands are encapsulated and there is little space for expansion, the enlargement causes severe pain. This patient had mild to moderate pain because the silolith has already erupted into the oral cavity and there is passage of saliva through the breached space. The right submandibular gland was enlarged and tender, and the soft tissue adjacent to the salivary gland duct and the silolith is edematous and inflamed. Plain film radiographs are the best one to visualize silolith because they are inexpensive, readily available, and there is minimal radiation exposure. Of course, we may require many other techniques like silography, CT, USG or cone beam CT depending on the case. As I have already mentioned, we have discussed a case of radiolucent silolith which couldn't be picked up by plain film radiographs where silography gave us a positive result. In case of submandibular ductal silolith, an occlusal radiograph taken at 90 degrees from the floor of the mouth is the recommended method. However, we may have to take an orthopantomogram to rule out silolith in the involved submandibular gland. In this particular case, a true occlusal radiograph was taken which confirmed the presence of silolith in the right submandibular duct. This particular case was managed by removal of the xylolith and suturing was done. The patency of the right submandibular duct orifice was ensured, there was salivary flow, and the patient was discharged. I would like to conclude this presentation by stating that submandibular gland has the highest possibility for calculi formation, and a calculi in the duct can be easily diagnosed with the help of a true occlusal radiograph. And we should always keep in mind that there is a possibility of another xylolith in the submandibular gland which should be evaluated. See you all in another video with another interesting case. If you like our video, kindly subscribe our YouTube channel Diagnogs. Thank you.